Up straight.
Okay, and hello everyone. Okay, hello. Hope everyone's comfy. Okay, we are live right now. Okay, so just a bit. My name is Azurah, and I'm actually one of the founders of Lokalfeed, and I'm super excited to introduce to you this amazing panelist that has agreed to kind of like sit down with us on a Saturday afternoon to share their stories and their experiences. Okay, and a few house rules, or this will be recorded. And at the end, please drop your questions. And then if we have time towards the end, we'll answer. I mean, the ladies will answer them if we have time at the end. So yeah, let's get to it. We're gonna kind of like start the ball rolling. Who wants to introduce themselves first? Okay, I will go with Sabrina. Okay, because she's on. Okay, hi Sabrina.
Hi, Azurah.
Hi.
Hi, everyone. Hi, I'm Sabrina. I'm the COO and co-founder of Amazing Grace. So Amazing Grace is a health brand snack company that we started 6 years ago. It's founded by three women, right? And I handle a lot of the operations of Amazing Grace at the moment. So in regards of making the product, supply, finding procurement, manufacturing, logistic, fulfillment, right? All that right now is is on my plate. Yeah. So I'm very excited to be here today to share my experience with you guys.
Thank you, Sabrina. Okay, how about Ash or Fahima? Which one of you want to go on first? Fahima. Okay, Fahima.
Okay, I'll go next. Hi, I'm Fahima. I am a fashion model, and I'm recently known for my feature in Vogue Singapore. But I have been fashion modeling for many years now, and I also have a day job as a speech therapist.
Okay. Hi, Fahima. We're excited to have you on board. Okay. Ash, go for it.
Hi guys, my name is Ash Hashim. I'm the founder of Footballita, the female football voice. I'm a FIFA players agent as well as I just started my first all-female esports team. So it's called Lugiami, and today I'm super excited and honored to be with all you amazing ladies here on this panel. So thank you for inviting me.
Okay, ladies, thank you so much for I mean, I mentioned this before at the backstage that we are really kind of excited to kind of like ask you some experiences for you all to kind of share with everyone. Okay, to get started, I'm just going to share the panel agenda, which is, I think every one of us are very different in so many ways, right? So we're going to touch a bit on, taking the unconventional route, not societal norms, it's the different kind of routes that we take on, and also a bit about diversity and representation towards the end. Okay, so I'm going to start with asking this question. Okay, what is your why? As in, why did you kind of like get into this field of work that you're doing right now? What is it, passion, or is it more than passion that has driven you to to do it every single day? I'm gonna start with Ash, perhaps. Then after that, we'll go one round.
Wow. Thanks, Azurah, for that question. It's quite a heavy, loaded question, I have to say. For me, the why on my side was because when growing up, I really loved football. Football was like my escape. I was a kid and I used to watch football with my parents, especially my dad. I don't have any siblings. I'm the only child. So football was like my entertainment. I watched all the Champions League games every night, every World Cup, and I had my favorite player. Obviously, as girls, we do have our favorite player as well. So, but for me, the sport really changed my life. So because it changed my life, I kind of visualized that one day I want to become a TV journalist, a broadcast journalist in football. So I started working towards that, and then I got my start in newspaper journalism, and then from then on, I sort of like grew my brain and I created Footballita. So the why was really because I really love football, but sort of I really felt that football has the power to sort of bring communities and people together, regardless of skin color, regardless of religion, regardless of race as well. Like I think the power of sport and football is my why, and that's why I'm in it, because I also want to sort of I guess build on that, but also recognize like the power of it. Basically, that's my why.
Okay, Fahima or Sabrina?
I'll go next.
Okay.
I wish I had I wish I had a really, really good why, like Ash. Um, for me, I started quite accidentally. I started when I was about 18. At that time, I wasn't wearing a headscarf yet, but I started for my cousin and her friends who were part of the design school, and they needed models. And I was comfortable modeling for them because even though I wasn't wearing a headscarf then, I did have a dress code or like a conduct. I mean, like I was only comfortable wearing like certain types of clothing even back then. And from there, I started to pursue modeling a little bit more. And then when I started to wear the headscarf, I took it on full time because I felt that with the headscarf on, people would know where are my boundaries. So, and then I just went on from there. And yeah, that's how I really started to take the unconventional route.
Sabrina?
So for me, it's why not? Right. So, I mean, I came from a background, like, from a very traditional Asian family, thinking like my parents was like, you grew up, you need to be like at least a doctor, a lawyer, and things like that. But from the very early on, I knew that I wanted to do something on my own. Right. So, and I'm very grateful that I had the chance to do it. So, right coming out of university, I had the chance to work at many, many different startups, right? And during these startups, I realized and I found my passion and what I really enjoy doing. And when the opportunity of Amazing Grace came by, that was when it hit me. I go like, why not? Let's do it. Let's just go, right? And until today, I have no regrets on in my decisions, right? And I'm just here to build the company and to build the team around me that I can inspire the next generation to do the same thing.
Okay, that's awesome. I mean, I can resonate with all three of you combined because I feel a little bit about what I do and actually. So when I can relate to you, Ash, because when I was younger, I think in secondary school, right? There was this rugby team. I represent the national rugby team for the women's side. So back then, there wasn't any women's rugby team, and it was like it's total bias. They say that you can't take on rugby because it's not a girl sport, right? So then because rugby to me was so amazing. So when I die must try. So then when after I kind of like graduated from secondary school, I went out there to kind of like explore the possibilities of actually joining like a women's rugby team. And then I found one, and then the rest is history. I mean, I love football, but I also love rugby because I think I just love rugby. So, and why not, right? But moving into like these different kind of like positions that you're in right now, right? There are surely difficulties or roadblocks along the pathway, right? So if you could share with us a bit, like even though knowing how rough it will be, whether there will be like roadblocks and all that, how do you actually, take that step, take that step forward to kind of like just give it a go? Like what was yeah? So okay, we'll start with that.
Is the question for
Yeah,
anyone?
Everyone, yes, everyone. Yes, someone can go on first. Yeah. Okay, okay. Let's take Fahima. Okay, Fahima first.
Can you repeat the question actually?
So I guess so so taking that step forward. Okay, put it simply is like every road that we take, there are different challenges along the way, right? So how do you kind of like take that first step and then get through the roadblocks and all that? So what made you actually take that first step, and especially getting through that roadblocks? I'm sure all of us here have experienced some things that hindered us to kind of like move forward, and that phase whether we should give up or what am I doing here, that kind of like feeling. Yeah.
Understand. Okay, so what made me take the first step forward? Really, I just wanted to get. It sounds really I guess it sounds really superficial, but the first step that I took, I really just wanted to have nice pictures of myself. I really just wanted to be in front of the camera, and it was something that I've always thought that I would be like a pop star or a singer or a something on the pages of the magazine or a TV screen. But that alone, like the idea of fame or the idea of you know um fame and popularity, that's not going to take you anywhere. So why do I continue to do it? It's because I feel that, you know, growing up, I've never seen anyone who looks like me in the pages of a magazine. In On TV, you always see, you know, what were the then standards of beauty, and I feel that it, like my presence here is kind of like an act of rebellion. That, you know, even if you think that a headscarf does not belong in fashion, like, well, here I am, you know, like to prove to you that actually fashion, like the headscarf does belong in fashion, or to prove to you that someone like me could also belong in the pages of a magazine, or in a video, or you know, like anywhere, you know. So yeah, that's why I continue to do it, because, you know, growing up, I never saw anyone who looked just like me in these spaces, and yeah, I wanted to be present in these spaces.
Thank you, Fahima.
I think I kind of agree with the rebellion part. A lot of what I do is actually also similar to what Fahima said. It's very much rebellion. When I was a journalist in the newspaper, my first ever job, I was the only girl in the entire newsroom of sports, male reporters. So the entire male the sports desk was like 20 guys or something, and I was the only girl, some 18-year-old girl intern, unsure, very unconfident. But I knew at the back of my mind that I could beat them at their game, and that's what I actually wanted to do. So I ended up being that crazy girl that got all the exclusive interviews, and I went to force myself to learn Spanish so that I could call all these clubs and say, "Hey, I want an interview with whoever, like Ronaldo, Jose Mourinho, some of the top names in football." It was just like that need to prove to myself. I have this thing about me as well. I think most of my friends, they know as well, that I set very high standards and goals for myself, and I always want to make sure that I can meet those goals. And if I don't, I know it's really bad, I really like blame myself and get very hard on myself. So it's just like that self-motivation from being told as well that, hey, you know, this is your place, you are just an intern, like, you know, at 18-year-old, just cover local sports, don't need to do anything else, being told that. And I was like, you know what, I'm not going to swear, but you know, like, I don't think this is what I want to do. I think I'm better than that, and I can be even better than all of you guys on this sports desk. So yeah, I think it's just I wanted to prove people wrong, because I think if right now, of course, feminism is a huge thing, right? People are all about, okay, we're supporting women in sports, women in modeling or fashion. But I think even a decade ago, that was not something very apparent. It's not something as accessible as well. So I think as well, I would like to echo what Fahima said. I was very like rebellious, and I think without that rebellion and without that wanting to prove people wrong, and also proving myself and my mental like sort of blocks, I wanted to sort of, you know, like overcome those mental blocks. Then that was what kind of like pushed me forward. Because if not, it would have been very difficult. I like to kind of like prove people wrong. That's I guess that's my thing. It's a very sports thing. Most athletes have this as well. Even the players that I manage, proving their critics wrong, proving their coach wrong, proving the media wrong. So yeah, these are sort of, I would say, my people, the rebels.
Yeah.
I agree to that. Sabrina.
All right. So what made me take the first step is I always knew I wanted to do something on my own from the very get-go, ever since I was young, right? So I had that vision that in mind already from the very get-go. So I think, and when the opportunity arose, I told myself, let's just take one step at a time. I know that I didn't have the experience, right? I didn't have experience how to run a business. I didn't have the experience how to even do or mass making some products, right? But I told myself, let's just take one step at a time, because I really believe that there's nothing in the world that we can't solve, right? It's just trying to figure out what works for you, and taking that mini steps. It doesn't need to be a big leap, just taking a mini steps, one thing at a time. Ultimately, I tell myself, just keep looking forward. We'll get there. No matter how hard it is, we'll just get there. So that was what my push is.
Okay, so I'm gonna kind of like ask a few directed questions. Okay, for I'm gonna ask Ash first. Okay, so you mentioned earlier on like it's a male dominated, because when you went to the you mentioned you were in the newsroom, right? you mentioned it's male dominated. So what are the challenges being first that, right? And then next you moved on to being a female agent, right? I'm sure this is, you mentioned it earlier perhaps, but a bit more, how do I say this, focus in that sense. Let's say if someone wants to be a female agent, right? I mean, what are the things that you probably will share with her or them? Because, yeah, go for it.
So you were mentioning the challenges, right, Azurah, about being in a male-dominated environment. I think all of us in this conversation and in this room, I would say, would have something to say about like being in a male-dominated environment. So football, of course, being a sports sort of sphere, we do get a lot of sexism, a lot of gender discrimination, a lot more last time than now. Now, of course, everyone, like I said, is very, oh, I support women because it's so cool not to support women. But I would say that on a larger scale, even on the European football, I would say this is some of the partners that I work with in Europe. Still very much the leadership positions are still mostly men. And I would want to add as well, they are white men. So it is a completely different rhetoric right there as well. The leadership positions are still being dominated by men, but women are slowly sort of coming into the space. But back to your question, the challenges that I faced, like I said, gender discrimination and being sort of like taken at face value. So people look at you and go, oh, she's a sports presenter, or, oh, are you sure she's an agent? This is the question that I got when I actually did my FIFA license. So part of being the license, it's a story that I tell everybody, and they always laugh when I say this, but when I did my FIFA like agent license, you have to take like a law exam, right? So I went to the Football Association here, I did the exam. When I walked into the room, somebody that is still someone I know in football told me, Ash, are you in the wrong room? What are you doing here, right? You go for an exam and someone asks you that. Like, he just, obviously this kind of thing was meant to, I guess, like psychologically, like, I don't know, like make me intimidated. But of course I didn't care because I ended up passing the exam in the end. And these are little tricks that I used to get when I was a younger, when you're a younger girl, you're sort of trying to make an impression in the industry. So you're not sure, like, what to do. So a little bit insecure. And I didn't really have a mentor as well. So that was a huge challenge. I was sort of looking for mentors I could get. Try to find them on LinkedIn as well, like these European mentors, because still women in football in Asia is still very small. So yeah, being undermined and sort of, stuff, they will say stuff to you in front of your face, but behind your back, I hear stuff about me that when I was younger, when I first got my license, that wasn't very nice. Like, oh, okay, so basically not being taken seriously, right? They're like, and that, I think maybe Fahima will be able to sort of understand this, but being just like judged, based on face value, based on without even knowing you. This is what I get as well, a lot of judgment. So yeah, I mean, I face it a lot because football is still, to be honest, quite a superficial industry to some extent, because it's very much how good are you on the pitch, it's just that. So people look at you, your social media profile, that's who you are, how many followers you have. And that's also what we do when we are transferring players. But I would advise as well to what you asked, Azurah, girls who want to become FIFA play agent, is that, like I said, it's a very right now it's a lot more progressive, so the support it's a lot more better than 10 years ago. But make sure that you're in it for the right reasons. Like, your why has to be strong. You have to want to actually try and help football, or try and help women in football, which is what sort of like my goal right now. I'm sort of pivoting. It was always helping everyone in football, youth in football, women in football. I really want to try and go back to why I even started Footballita, which is the female football voice. I'm wearing this shirt now, the female football voice. So helping women, especially girls, even in underprivileged countries like Pakistan, Saudi Arabia, all these places, like with all these girl associations or female associations that really want to use football as a tool to help them. And that's really where I want to go back. So your why has to be strong. You have to want to help players go from one club to another. You have to want to make these connections, these things. It has to be within you, because if you don't enjoy it, and if you're not strong enough to deal with the outside judgment and all the sexism messages in the middle of the night. Sorry, this is tea I'm spilling. Like all this weird stuff that you're getting from people who are not professional. Then yeah, you gotta find a way to like mentally get yourself stronger, because yeah, this is the reality of working in I would say 98% still male dominated environment. I hope no one is watching this, but okay, like no one there. None of my clients, but it is what it is. They do know my issues as well, the problems that I face. So yeah, there you are. I hope I answered your question.
Yes, you did, for sure. Okay, because now I'm curious. Okay, so I'm gonna ask Fahima and okay, so when we talk about like modeling and fashion, right, people would think like less is more and how your look matters, right? And as a hijab wearing model, like what is it like being in the industry where on the surface it seems that, I mean, it's not, it seems like, okay, it seems that you don't fit in, because you mentioned earlier on that there is no representation, sorry, tongue twisted, representation, right? When you grow up, there is no representation of like, you know, women wearing hijab and stuff like that, right? So what are your thoughts on that?
So, your question is what are my thoughts on some of the challenges that you like, you know, whether I fit in this modeling industry. I mean, by and large, like you like the idea of a hijabi fashion model in itself is already quite an oxymoron. The idea of wearing a headscarf and still wanting to be on display is kind of like at odds with each other. And of course, like I do face challenges, even like, you know, like from starting out, you know, no one actually wants to use a headscarf wearing model. The thing is, you can put on a headscarf on anyone. So you can take a, you know, just a girl who does not wear a headscarf, a white model, and you put on a headscarf on her and she becomes a hijabi model. But with me, like you cannot even like take off my headscarf. Then you will find that I'm less versatile as a model because that's, you know, like that's my conditions, right? um at the same time, like I also feel that some of the challenges of me being a hijabi model is also some of the strengths. So if there are there's a company that wants to portray that they are diverse and they do take on a real hijabi model, then it shows them to be like a little bit more forward and progressive. And the thing about being in the models fashion industry is that sometimes even brands who are targeting women in the models fashion industry, they don't want a hijab wearing model. I've been on at an event where it was actually showcased or like publicized to be a modest fashion event, and even though the clothes were modest, like I wasn't selected for a lot of the walkways, sorry, not the walkways, sila, some of the runways, because they wanted the girls who, you know, who flaunted their hair. And I think that that was like my first foray into the industry, and I was just like, what is this, like, you know, like it's supposed to be a modest fashion event and then I'm not selected because I wear a headscarf. I mean, they never said it that way, but that's how it felt. um but yeah, um other challenges is that, you know, sometimes you end up being like the uh token diversity card, right? Like, you know, you just want to reach out to a certain demographic, and then you put on you take a girl who wears a headscarf to kind of like fit into that demographic that you're trying to target. So the challenges are, you know, um, fairly broad, but at the same time I feel that the challenges kind of take you to where you are right now. If I didn't I actually think that if I wasn't a hijabi model, I wouldn't know how well I would do in a just a generic fashion industry, because I would, like I said earlier, like even from a young age, like I wouldn't wear certain types of clothes. So like then that wouldn't really take you far as a model as well. So yeah, it's really yeah, you face challenges like whether you are a hijab wearing model or you're just a normal fashion model. Yeah.
It comes with its sets. It comes with its set of challenges, right? Like every route that we take on in that
Yeah,
sense.
precisely.
Okay. For Sabrina, okay. What are some misconceptions that people have about starting a business? You know, like Amazing Grace, and you know, starting a business is actually quite a big thing to start, right? So there are a lot of things like whether, you know, should I start this because will it make it big, especially when there's this thing about the tech industry making millions and all that stuff, right? So what are the misconceptions of starting a business? Okay, is the why does the why, like what Ash mentioned, right, need to be strong enough, or are you doing it for the sake of like, the money and stuff like that? So what are the misconceptions of starting a business?
I think there are a lot, right? Starting a business, whether it's tech or non-tech, I think it people are really unaware about like the challenges that we all face. Like people think like, especially in the tech company, like it's going to be very glamorous, it's all fun, and like how you see in like the TVs and things like that, right? But I think that's not the reality of it, right? There's a lot of things going behind that people don't face, right? And then on all this misconception is also like sorry, it's just that even though there are a lot of people saying that it's very hard, it's not easy to start a business, but I think the real test is when people are actually feeling it, right? And that's where people realize that, what, I'm not cut out for it, right? They don't have like the grit to carry on forward, right? So I think that is something that people are that's the misconception line in general, I would say. Yeah.
Okay, this is for the floor. Okay, because I'm listening to all of you, and I realize that I feel that the support system is very important. I mean, how do you think, or did you ever kind of like get like backlash and stuff like that for the things that you do, or the things that you are doing, not the normal things that you're doing? How important is the support system? This is for the floor. Anyone can take it. Yeah.
I've never had any real major backlash. I've always kind of like anticipated it because of the irony of a hijab model, but thankfully I haven't faced any like major backlash. I've always thought that like some really people will comment on like, oh, I can see her neck, like her the front of her hair is showing a little bit, or like you cannot wear earrings with like headscarf, like I always thought that I will receive backlash like that, but I think it's because I'm not big enough. I think if you're the bigger you get, the more people will comment, and then the more backlash you're gonna get. Having said that, I do have a good support system. Like my parents know that I am doing modeling, and I think when I was a kid, like my it would not be something that my parents would approve of, but now I know they're secretly like proud lah, and mm, and my friends, they're always cheering me on, or telling me to dream big, and take it and telling me to take it further, or like telling me to have like a mentality of abundance. Like even if I missed one show, maybe I'll get something else that's even bigger or better than whatever I missed out on. So yeah.
I mean, absolutely. I think the support system, Azurah, is very, very important. Like I said, I'm the only child, so my parents were just there all the time in my face as I was growing up, and I actually have a very good relationship with them. So I don't have anything against them, and I think they were very like pivotal, important. Especially my mom; she's very progressive, I would say. And my dad is also not conservative. He's, I would say, quite a liberal dad. So he was like, you know what, my girl, go for it. You're your dad's girl. I think you should go out there and achieve your dreams and be a sports reporter, be a football journalist, like be the change that you want to see. Because I always used to say, Dad, I don't see any people who look like me also, like, on TV or presenting sports who look like me, or who may have my weirdness or quirkiness. And he's like, you know what? I mean, then you go out there and be the change you want to see. Like, go and get your, like, I mean, graduate from uni, go and get your journalism degree, whatever. But at the end of the day, make sure that you do the work needed to get to where you need to be. But also, just to add on as well, that my friends have been very important, especially my best friend. She's been with me for like, I think I've known her since secondary school, and she's seen me grow from like literally a nobody, a kid who was just talking about football, like screaming every time after class about some World Cup game. And she saw me like develop into a football journalist, and then a sports agent, and then now like with my company and everything. So I think she was very important as well. But because she's always there, like even when I go have events and I'm hosting like a big show or something like that, or and there's like a big client like Manchester United or PSG or whoever, like any of these big European teams that I work with, and it's basically, I would call it major events in my life. She's always there, because I think I think Oprah Winfrey had this thing, right? It said like, if they don't ride with you in the bus, then they don't deserve to ride with you in the limo. So I think she's a definition of that. So she, as well as my parents and my friends as well, the community that follow me on Instagram and like they support me all the time, and also like are part of my weekly show. I think these things are very important. About the backlash, when I first started my career, to be honest, I got a lot of backlash. Especially as a young sort of pitch side reporter, I made a lot of mistakes. It was a live coverage, my first ever one. I was not perfect, of course, and none of us are. But I mean, when I was doing that, I made a lot of mistakes. So I think that was warranted. I should have known better, and so I learned to improve. The backlash actually sort of pushed me. Like if you are doing like sports reporting, you don't ever read your Twitter because you're gonna get a lot of abuse from very weird like male trolls. Just putting it out there, but that's what I got as well. But I learned. I think I took the good out of it, and of course the bad I just left it out. But I saw, okay, I think maybe I speak a little bit too fast. Maybe I could change the way I ask questions or my style. So I learned. I didn't learn from the backlash, but I think I took what some of the feedback and try to be stronger and build from it. I think, as Sabrina also said, grit is very important, and grit is really what will take you all the way, because one day if you're going to look back at your career, you're like, I should have done this. That's also regret. And for me, I think life is too short for regret. So just go and do it. Like I said, thanks to my parents, I'm here today because of them. If not, I'd probably be working a very miserable 9 to 5 job, which I do not like. So they are actually gave me the tools and also the motivation to become who I am today. So yeah, thanks to them as well, and my friend. So yeah, that's I think support system is extremely important. Especially if you have big goals, and you really like need to keep yourself focused and not distracted by some like naysayers as well.
Sabrina?
About in regards to backlash, I don't think I faced any. However, I think when early on the business, I do get a lot of doubters, right? Especially even before starting, I have people telling me like, "No, you're not co-founder material. You won't be able to do it," right? But and also like sometimes going meeting, especially for someone with no experience, very young looking, they tend to not take you very seriously. Like you're here to like just to try to play that kind of thing, right? So that therefore I seriously think like supporters are very very key to like the success of the business. Like I mean, for us personally, right? Because you really need someone there to help you push you through whatever you're feeling at the moment, right? Because especially with all the challenges that you are facing, it really does take a mental health to your toll to your health, right? So then it with the supporters around you, by surrounding yourself with those positive supporters, it actually help you lift up and then take the next step forward, right? So I think it's very very important because they are there to constantly push you, there to constantly bring the best out of you. So I think that's very very important.
Okay. Sabrina, you mentioned mental health or mental wellness, right?
Yeah.
This is the flaw. Okay. Because support system, I feel that it's part of the mental wellness, because at the end of the day, we can't do it all by ourselves. So Fahima, for yourself, right? You mentioned that you have a day job, right? How do you juggle between being a fashion model and plus your day job? Like how does people call it side hustle, right? In that sense. So how do you do that?
Yeah.
And then I'll move on to Ash later on and Sabrina. So how do you actually juggle that? Priorities, self care. How do you go about it?
Okay. So for me, how do I juggle modeling and my day job? So my day job is not very flexible. I do work a 9 to 5 job at a job that I really love. And I do have clinics that I run, and I do have patients that I have to see, that have been scheduled to see me like months in advance. So um, I always tell myself that my day job is my priority. It is my it is it is always important that I am responsible in my day job. The modeling stuff, I always work around my day job. I always make sure that I block out the dates. Like if clients are able to tell me way in advance, then I'll take leave for it. If I'm interested enough in the project, and then I would make sure that my main hustle is covered, and then I will work on my side hustle, which is my modeling gigs lah. I schedule whatever I can schedule, and I also as I become more established, I am more selective with the type of jobs that I would want to take on lah. Used to be like, I'm open to all sorts of jobs, but now I'm going to see whether or not it actually suits my image. How will I benefit from it? And so you become a bit more selective, and I think that's also a little bit better for your mental health. Whether or not the job is worth the agony or like being stressed over. So yeah.
Okay. Okay. Ash, I know you mentioned that you had Lugema, right? Am I pronouncing right?
Lugyami. They're watching this now, by the way, my team. So Azurah, you're gonna kill you. No, just kidding. It's Lugyami. I know it's like a Pokemon name and me at the end. So Lugyami.
Right. How do you juggle that both?
So I mean, I guess I would say Grace. Sabrina, you might relate to this because you're running a startup now. So Lugyami is actually a startup as well. So as a startup founder, you basically have no life. Just putting out there, you're working at 24 hours a day and really like doing calls, talking to your investors and talking to your partners, whoever. So the managing part is very important as well to me. But having come from like an industry of football where nobody there really has a life either, people are just either playing on the weekends or you've got games every single day and you're scheduling like gym or whatever. And even the athletes that I work with, they have a very structured life. So I've learned to schedule like fitness, all these things like R&R, which I don't really do anyway, but more of like going to gym 3 times a week, because like for example, running helps me a lot, like helps me think better. I get my mind clear when I'm running. So I try and structure there like 3 times a week and sort of also have 3 things to do every day, 3 important things to do, like the top 3. So I make sure that at least these are done every day, and I don't like put so much stress on my team as well, because we have a team that we are running. We have a team and office in Malaysia and here as well. So I have to make sure that these 2 groups of people are happy as well. I make sure that they are getting value out of what they're doing for Lugyami. And I think that's also a little bit stressful, because initially I used to only deal with a very small group of people, like even my interns at Footballita, or even different like even clients that I have that I don't really see all the time as well. But now I'm seeing these people every day, so I'm learning. Actually, it's a learning experience for me. But yeah, I think I try and schedule fitness and make sure that is like prioritized as well. And also, just like Fahima, I'm not taking like any other job. I mean, not taking all jobs like hosting of opportunities or whatever, because I have to make sure as well that my time is really spent on what's important. Because I think we all are coming. I'm coming out of this pandemic. I think we're realizing as well what is important in our life and what's not so important. So I think we are learning as well. I mean, personally, I'm also learning to value other things as well. There are, for example, if a job's not necessary, or if I feel that the budget is not within like, something that I want to work with, then I will just kindly say, yeah, perhaps I'm not the right fit for you guys. But yeah, I think the pandemic has sort of shown me that it's very important to prioritize what can help you mentally as well, and what can help you go further. Because if you invest a lot in like stuff like your mental health or like your fitness, I mean, for me, even your diet, I think you can go a lot further, and achieve more great things as well. Yeah.
Sabrina?
Yeah, I can definitely relate with you, Ash. Like you said, running a startup, the first few years is the toughest part. Like no social life, all you think about is work, right? So I think I had a realization last year when I realized that my health was deteriorating. I mean, not deteriorating, but say like I had issues with my health. I lost a lot of weight during the pandemic because I was just so focused on work. I started getting gastric and things like that, right? And that's when I realized like why I asked myself like why am I working so hard when it's taking a toll on my body as well. So this is where I decided to make a change, right? I'm also thankful that I have a team that constantly, remind me like, Sab, it's already 12 o'clock, it's time to eat. They will buy me lunch, buy me dinner, right? Make sure that I eat, right? So, so that's where I decided that I have to make sure that my life is balanced, because it's not easy. I mean, it's really tough to take like, to make that realization that, what, work is not my life anymore. there's more to life than work, right? So that's why I took a change. I made a change, like start working out a lot more, going for private training, things like that, to help me stay a lot more fit. Because I think that is very important, because the company will always be there, but your body, there's only so much time you have to enjoy before you get a lot older, where you start feeling aches and things like that, which we really need to start now. Before, I mean, prevention is a lot better than cure in that sense. So yeah, so that's when I realized that, we really need to make sure that we balance health and work.
Okay. I feel
Just
that.
to add, oh,
Yeah.
sorry.
No, go for it. Go for it.
Yeah, I was just gonna add that, how you guys say like about rest and relax and stuff, but actually for me, the modeling part is the relaxing bit. I really enjoy like doing the modeling, especially when I was doing the Vogue thing. Like it was just like everyone holding umbrellas for me and like telling me not to like bend and like, someone putting on shoes for me. But the modeling thing is the thing that I enjoy, and it's something that I actually do to de-stress and get creative, because my day job is more clinical. So I guess I don't know if this adds to anything, but yeah, like finding my side hustle to be more enjoyable for now.
Mm.
Yeah.
I mean, the reason why I asked this, I feel that it's very important because to share a bit, right? So I actually ran an F&B space for 3 years. It really ran me down because, I had to be there like 24/7. I was also the one that's handling everything. So then along, like, I didn't have rest at all. And like what Sabrina, Ash, and Ash mentioned, right? So if you don't really take care of yourself, right, then I realized that I was falling sick more often than usual. And so that's why it's important. And I probably, but at times, right, can I just ask you ladies this? Do you actually feel guilty sometimes when you take a break, as being leaders in your own way, right? That you take a break, like a day break, just to kind of like take care of yourself. But to be honest, sometimes I do feel guilty, and I feel that should not be the thing, that we put the guilt on us to not take care of ourselves just so that everything else runs properly. So what's your take on that? And by the way, Fahima, I agree. I feel that there's like, for you, the modeling bit is something that you actually, it's something relaxing for you. And like for me, it's like my rugby and my sport, because I think without that, right, it can really drain you out. Without that, you can, like, there's no element of releasing that stress in that sense.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that's also very important. But going back to the question, do you actually sometimes feel guilty to take a break, being leaders in your own, in each in your own, uh, workspace? Okay, someone, it's for everyone. Do you feel guilty?
Let me go. Oh, definitely. The guilt is definitely there, right? I mean, I would like to bring back to Fahima as well. Is that you mentioned that, modeling is where you feel relaxed at most, right? But that's where I feel relaxed at work the most. It's just that sometimes you're so just into it that you just totally forget there's other things around you that matters, right? So then that's where, I mean, that's why the first few years, that's where you've been just doing, you enjoy it so much that you did not care about anything else. But eventually your body will start to take a hit and start feeling all those things that you were not taking care of later on, right? So I mean, that's where. So just to answer back your question, the guilt is definitely there, right? I usually, even on weekends, sometimes I'm like, oh, I have to check on this, I have to check on that. Even if I'm not there, I feel guilty, and then I have to, like, make my way down to go like, guys, are you guys okay? I need to be physically present there to make sure that everyone is taken care of, right? And thinking about myself is always the last priority. But I think after what happened, like during the pandemic, where I lost so much weight and things like that, then I told myself that if I continue to be like that, right, and if I were to fall seriously sick, for example, in the future, who's going to be taking care of my team, right? So that's when I realized that, no, I have to take care of myself first in order for me to take care of the team.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Sabrina, I echo exactly what you say. I'm working with a co-founder now as well. So we sort of structure our days in a way where in the morning we're doing calls, in the afternoon we have a team meeting, stuff like that. So I always say, okay, I just need an hour to go running or whatever, right? Jen is his name. I'm sure he's watching this. my awesome co-founder. But we have days where, I mean, our days are structured like into 3 parts, right? So morning, afternoon, and night. So to be honest with you, I'm still doing calls right until 12 a.m. or 1 a.m. And I always have this on me wherever I'm walking, like a lunatic, I know, because we don't know who's gonna call us. But that's the issue as well. I think I always try and tell him, okay, let's take it an hour at a time, right? So okay, if you need an hour break or 2 hours break, go and get it. Go and get do what you have to do is necessary, which is necessary. Because we always tend to skip our meals sometimes as well, just because we have to do like something important. But I honestly think that nothing is more important than your health. And if without your health, you won't be able to really do what you want to do. Like I said, achieve your goals. So I think I used to feel guilty, to be honest, Azurah. Like honestly, even now, right now, my team is packing stuff. In KL, actually, all the stuff that we're going to give to our partners, and I'm not there. Obviously, we can't be there. I can't be present. But I feel guilty right now because I can't be there to help them. But at the end of the day, I know that I'm trying to do it in such a way that I'm doing my part here, and together, I think as a team, especially, we need to make sure that each and every one of us are well taken care of in that sense. So I try and make sure as well, tell them, guys, it's really late. Let's continue this tomorrow. I mean, if it's not important, like I said, according to the list, if it's not like top 3 priority, then we can always do it tomorrow. I think it's really not worth it to push everything and stress yourself out because, again, I know I'm going to sound like a grandma now, but life is short. So like there's some things that are really more important than like your health. So focus on that. And honestly, I just came back from sickness as well. I just recovered like a week ago. I was really sick. I couldn't even move. So those 5 days, I was the most useless I could ever be. And my team was just like, my WhatsApp chat group was like, going crazy. And I just felt guilty because I couldn't do anything because my health was so bad. Like I couldn't even get up. So that's why I thought about it. You know what? I need to make some lifestyle changes. I need to change my diet. Don't eat so much fried food or not so much bubble tea. I know, but stuff that I can't. I should like focus more on like health as well. So yeah, I think having come back from sickness, even more now, I'm realizing that my team can't do it if I'm gonna be like bedridden for 5 days. So I think some small changes are important, like Sabrina said, like really making sure that you look after yourself, especially if you're leading a very like a team that really is relying on you. So yep.
Fahima?
I'm going to agree with whatever Ash and Sabrina has said. I think it's so important to take care of yourself. Whether I feel guilty about leaving taking time for myself off modeling, of course not. Like nobody's gonna miss me if I'm not gonna model or anything like that. The industry moves on without you, and there are so many models. But I do feel guilty in my day job if I feel like I've taken leave and then I see like the WhatsApp chats and like the team is down and they are like working really hard. But I remember that at the end of the day, I am entitled to take some leave and I do need to um, take care of myself in order to feel recharged, in order not to feel burnt out. It's so easy to burn out. And in order for me to continue to enjoy what I do need to take breaks and I do need to take time for myself to do the things that I enjoy doing. Yeah.
Well said. Agreed. Agreed. Okay. So I'm going to move on to something a bit I don't know whether it's going to be a different conversation, but okay. So what does diversity and representation mean to each one of you? The first thing that pops up to your mind. What does it mean to you?
Right. I'll go first.
Okay, sure.
So I've heard this quote before where diversity is being invited to the table. And I've also heard the quotes on diversity about it's not just about being invited to the table, but also to look around you and see whose voices is actually missing from the table. So even if you're invited, like to look around and kind of see like, hey, actually I've not seen this representation, or I see a lot of like right now there's a lot of talk on diversity, black women being represented, women in hijab being represented, the transgender voice being represented, but there are still people who are missing from the table, and it is also part of diversity to find out who is not at the table instead of just being invited to the table. So that's what diversity is to me.
for me, diversity means variety, and it's not just physical. For me, it's not just like race or religion. I think it's more to that. It's more about the experience that people are different experience from different people as well, right? So I think that is what it means to me, because I think it all matters for whether you are um, white or black, or you're Chinese or what. But I think it's about the experience.
Yeah, I guess I mean the ladies before me said it pretty well as well. Diversity is for me it's like making sure that you are heard in a way that is impactful as well. And I would say, of course, now everyone is talking about, okay, let's invite like the black women as well, like what Fahima said. All these like social norms, people are like including it just to be part of the conversation or just to make themselves look like they are woke, right? But I think more importantly is to ensure that whoever we include in diversity, I mean, whatever it is, whichever racial group, whichever, like even I wouldn't say religious, but like skin color of really anyone out there who wants to be part of the conversation deserves to sort of be heard. But also, I think it's a common goal as well. We need to be mindful as well that when we're inviting these people, and we are part of our campaigns or even part of our conversation, we are mindful what they have to say and we continue the conversation. It's not just a one-off tokenized thing, which I'm really seeing, to be honest, a lot in by brands and campaigns. And I find it's very superficial because you're missing the point. Like Dove, for example, right? They had the whole diversity, which was a very great campaign, but honestly, the conversation should be more than that. And especially in football, we're seeing a lot more diversity in terms of like women, on in front of camera, or even female agents as well. I think we do need allies of I think if by diverse I mean we know who our or the I guess the majority race is, wherever community we're coming from. We do need these allies to sort of help us as well to amplify the voices of these people who deserve to be heard. So that's what diversity is to me, to be sort of supported in that sense, but also mindful of whatever we're putting out there about the topic. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry, I sounded so like it's so much really to take. The word is very heavy for me, so it's so hard to define it. Yeah.
It's true.
Yeah.
That's true. Okay. 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 So someone might actually asked. Okay. So do you actually believe that one's diversity or status kind of like can be a barrier to kind of like career progression in your related industry? And because I think earlier on, Fahima, you mentioned something about because Ash mentioned about superficial, right? Whether it's just are you doing it for the sake of just doing it, or whether are you doing it because this is important to you, correct? So how do you think we can, change that mindset, or how can that change happen when for us to kind of really have the conversation instead of just doing it for the sake of doing it?
Sorry. Can you like rephrase the question?
Okay. So earlier on, you mentioned something about and Ash also actually mentioned something about it being superficial in the sense that people are just like companies, organizations are just doing it for the sake of doing it. Not everyone. So
tokenism. Yeah.
yeah. So how can we change that? By having conversation, or by saying it out loud that, hey, we in order for our change to happen, we need to have deeper conversations instead of just the superficialness of the things.
Right. So you're talking about the tokenism aspect of what Ash was saying about how can representation be genuine. So I think when one of the ways that you mentioned was actually through having conversations and through having genuine discussions about representation and diversity. I think that's one way to do it. But the other way is to actually really understand, like if let's say it's a market that is trying to say it's a fashion industry, or like say it's a clothes brand that's trying to reach out to more other types of women, then I think knowing that diversity is actually beneficial as opposed to it being not like it's not a hindrance. Like it, in fact, when you have more diversity, you actually bring more, and you bring more to the table than if, let's say, the spaces were not as diverse. So like it is more important for me to reach, even though the group might be minor, but they may be like loyal customers if they really feel that you are really looking out for them, instead of you just trying to like hit them one time and then um like, okay, like, so for example, like Nike recently, like in their recent campaigns, they would be featuring like women in hijabs as athletes. So I think that if they were really genuine, they would continue to be like trying to engage these women and trying to make sure that these voices are represented. And then over time, like, you will actually find that um, there will be genuine conversations and genuine connections that are made between them and their customers. Uh, so I guess in conclusion, in this long-winded thing that I'm trying to say is that if you have genuine conversations, if you have genuine intentions, then diversity is actually going to be of great benefit. Like for Singapore, for example, like, if we are really genuine about the diversity of races and the diversity of our interactions, it would actually bring more greatness than discord. Yeah.
Sabrina, do you have anything to share, add on that?
I think Fahima, you mentioned the Nike ad, right? So like obviously being in football or in sports, I do watch all these like campaigns. Some of my players are also signed to these brands. And Nike, in my opinion, has done a very good job in recent years, in including the black women, I mean in America, as well as like hijabi sort of representation. But I have to add as well that the conversations around them, because Nike as well is a PR I guess a PR case of what to do and also what not to do, because they also have their own controversies. So I think they're trying to sort of ride this wave of inclusion and getting the sports hijabs out there as well. Because I'm now, for the first time, I'm actually seeing the sports hijabs in the shops. I think 5 or 6 years ago we had to go to Dubai to find these kind of hijabs or order it online. But now I'm seeing it more in the shops. But I'm just seeing it as a product. I'm not seeing it as a campaign to engage the community itself. So basically community is engagement to me is very important. It's just like in football we have the notion, the word I would like to use, which is grassroots. So engaging the grassroots, getting their opinion, their sort of like their thoughts is very important, especially if we're trying to talk about diversity. Because when you go down to the grassroots, when you go and meet these people and when you go engage with these youths, you will actually see the faces of the future, right? These are the people who are representing the next step, however they look, wherever they come from. Because these kids or this generation of young girls are the ones that will be sort of, I guess, flying the flag for us. So I think it's important as well that we make sure that it's not just a brand, or like we don't look at it from, especially for brands or big brands that are trying to answer this diversity market. They don't just focus on making it like look Shazam, like a nice PR sort of a video. It has to be back to the community, because these are the kids who are going to be buying your stuff, your products. So I think it's important as well that we sort of understand diversity in that sense. And I'm not sure about the question that was asked earlier about whether diversity has been a hindrance. For me, I guess it has not been, because it always, to be honest, pays off to be a little bit different, especially in a very, like I said, football used to be a very white, male-dominated environment. So it's always you tend to stand out as well if you are not that that sort of that main thing that they're looking for. So I think it sort of has worked in my favor, and I'm a lot more happy now as well, because I'm seeing a lot more girls or guys from very different diverse backgrounds just kind of representing and trying to break into this industry. Because I think that your stories and your backgrounds are what make you special, and this should be celebrated and, like I said, told to people, so that all these young kids who want to be like you, they can look up to you and go like, hey, there's this girl or there's this guy that looks like me, she has my skin color, and she speaks like me, and I want to be like her. So for me, I didn't have that role model, like I said, growing up. So now I'm very happy when young kids like DM me and say, hey, I want to be a journalist or whatever. And I'm like, you know what, you can do it, because we are living in a completely different world than we were like even 10 or 20 years ago. Like anything is possible with social media. So yeah, like I said, diversity has been good for me. I don't think it has been a hindrance. And I don't think it should continue to be as well, like moving forward for anybody.
Sabrina?
I would like to say diversity is actually very, I'm from a very different industry, right? So in the workplace, I think diversity definitely is very, very important, right? Even like for me, like founders, joining like mentorship programs and things like that, I would say like it's very male dominated. I would say when we go for all these programs, like we will only see like close to 90% of it is male. When we come to female CEOs or like founders, there are very only actually a handful of them. And I think that is something that we are we are trying to change, right? So I think it's very, very important that diversity, because female and male, we actually bring different things to the table. The way we make decisions, the way we think, right? Our thought process is very, very different. Therefore, I think it's very important that it is important whether it's gender or age. I think it will actually bring a balance in the work industry, in the workspace.
Okay. Bringing it on to the next question, okay? So in your opinion, okay, what is the dream or the ideal state of, diversity or inclusion in your field or industry? Anyone can take this? Fahima, do you want to go for it first?
Alright.
Yeah.
Okay, so the ideal state of diversity or inclusion in the modeling industry would be when you see people of all skin tones, people of all colors, being represented on the stage. And I think like recently, one of these brands, I can't remember whether it was Gucci or something, like they had a model who had Down syndrome, and she looked absolutely stunning. She looked absolutely beautiful. And I think to have her represented and was just really beautiful to see. So I think knowing that like fashion is, everyone needs to wear clothes, and fashion is for everyone. It's not just for the elites, and to have everyone being represented would be great, whether you're short, tall, plus sized, or whether you're skinny. As long as you're embracing your true individuality, I think fashion should represent you.
Sabrina? Ash?
Well, for me, the ideal state, at least for the founder where I'm here creating jobs for people, right? I would ideally like anybody who is able to, who's interested in like working, to just go out there and put yourself out there to work, right? We always say like, or for example, do not think if you are your lack of something, right? Do not make it like your weaknesses. Do not make it like a roadblock for you. No, I'm not good. I'm not able to do this. Therefore, I don't want to try, right? So I just feel like, even if you feel like you're lacking something, just go for it. Even if you want, you really want to, just go for it, right? For me, I have like for example, my team in Singapore, we have someone who is deaf. And when we first had this applicant, we were like, no, I think it's going to be very difficult working with her and things like that. I think she's not going to make it and things like that. And we made a change. We said that, you know what? I think we can make it work. It's not going to stop her. It's not going to stop us from, if we really want to make it work, we can make it work. Right. So we should take the mindset to quit. We should actually change our mindset to go like, the moment we see something that, is not workable, do not immediately say no. But I think we should just change the way we think and go for it.
That's great.
I think I have to agree with Sabrina, right? Yeah, because like coming also from the startup world, the inclusion part as well, a lot of girls are a little bit intimidated, or they're not sure what to do, especially when they're trying to break into the tech space. Because coming from like when I was like hiring people for my company Lugiami, I was getting a lot of male applicants, and I'm like, it's a all female, we're an all female esports team. I know you guys want to come and join, but I know it's gonna sound I'm gonna sound really sexist now, but I was really looking for like an all female like backroom staff as well. So like I'm talking about like my head of marketing to be all female, but that was like a very like idealist like notion. But I couldn't find an applicant who was a girl or a woman who was really maybe they felt that they were a little bit intimidated. I feel, but I got really awesome like candidates who were guys. So I mean, right now I'm not trying to. I know some of them are watching this, but I'm not trying to say that guys are not good enough. But ideally, like I also hope like Sabrina, like whatever she said about them stepping forward and taking risks. I think it would be great if more women or girls who are unsure, like really like still go out there, try and sort of take risks, especially when it comes to like jobs like this where they feel like they might not get the support that they need. It is a very sorry, am I still on this? I'm still
Yes.
on this, right, guys? Sorry, I had a call. Okay, there you go. I'm just I was getting a call in the middle, but yeah, it's very important that we sort of celebrate and as sort of help women to feel at home, But on the other side as well, now that I was talking about a startup sense, but now I'm going to cross over to the football sense. A dream or ideal state is really to get allies. I call it the allies of women. These are men who are really supporting women in football and supporting girls. I'm seeing that a lot more now, and I'm super happy. All the guys who are doing it because they really feel that girls deserve to be out there and to be treated seriously as female footballers, because that is another conversation altogether. A lot of female footballers, they are not taken seriously, or they are always sort of bullied on that sense, like, you're not good enough. Just go and make me a sandwich. Don't bother in this, this kind of total sexist statements that belong in 1945, for example. But yeah, the dream ideal state would be to get allies. I call it the allies of women in football, women in sports, which would be men, like more men, voicing out for us, because other men will hear them and go like, hey, you know what? That's cool, because we can't change the opinion or the minds of these people who are against diversity. We need people who are from, like our the other gender to help us out. I would call them the allies, like I said, because that will really help and elevate the conversation and sort of like change the direction that we're trying to move towards as well. Yeah, sorry about that call that came on.
Okay, moving on to the next one. Okay, so I know we've been talking about a lot of challenges and all that, right? So despite the challenges, what are some of the, those best moments, those little things that kind of like push you on in that field that you're in right now, right? To do the things that you're doing right now, because yeah.
For me, the Vogue thing was actually such great validation to what I was doing. To be honest, like I've never been before this, I've not been represented by any agencies or anything like that. But to have someone just like how she found me was really, really random. She found me via Instagram and she just asked me to cast, and the producer, like, she just took me to one corner of Suntec City, and then she asked me if I could do a few poses for her, do a little bit of a walk, and then she was like, oh, okay. Then I didn't know whether or not they were going to take me on, and then they were setting dates, and then the whole thing blew up disproportionately. But yeah, so I think that was one of the highlights, and it gave me a lot of validation, because before this I didn't think that I was always like looking to work with like small maybe Instagram shops, or like or just Muslimah fashion, modest fashion brands. But to be wearing Gucci, to be representing Vogue, that was a big thing for me. So yeah.
Yay! Round of applause. I think that we're all proud of her, I would say, in that sense. I mean, I said it before the call that I saw her Vogue editorial, and like she was really killing it. So it was a very, I think it's a proud moment for any woman actually to see like that as well. Any
Thank
woman.
you.
So I think it's fantastic. So congrats. Well done.
Well, for me, like I think what really pushes me forward, I think there are two things, right? One, the first one is definitely Amazing Grace fans, right? To hear from them, to say that, oh, they really love our products, they wish to see more, that's something pushes like us forward to go like, oh, let's figure out, we think a lot more, let's figure out like what can we provide more to our fans, not just the snacks that we have now, the granolas or the nut mixes, right? But more, what is something that we can do more for our fans, for not just now but also for the future, right? So I think that's definitely one. The next one would be definitely my team, right? Because everybody at Amazing Grace, I would say we are all very young. A lot of them started out with us, when they first came out from university. So a lot of them were fresh grads, or they didn't have a lot of working experience, right? So to actually build a brand from nothing, it's really, really tough. But at the end of the day, to see the smile on their face where we have already met our goals, or met our targets, or milestones, it make me feel very proud, because I'm technically there giving the guidance, motivating them, telling them that, this is just one of the challenge. We are trying to make the impossible possible in that sense. So that's definitely one of the best moments.
Ash, how about you, Ash? Some best moments, struggles, challenges that you face.
I think the best moment for me was actually recently, before this pandemic, was actually the Dubai Globe Soccer Awards. I was actually invited. I guess that's a culmination of my career. Like I felt like, wow, I think I have done something that I am proud of. Because I was invited to do a panel on women actually in football, by the Dubai, I guess, sports organization. So right before my panel was actually Cristiano Ronaldo on that panel, and we had some of the best players on the panel as well, even the best referees, the who's who of football, like sharing the same stage as me. And I was just like, the word was like, I felt like, oh shit, man, I was like really intimidated, but also felt like a bit of imposter syndrome. I think you guys have heard of that, like, like, wow, I can't believe I'm here. And so I did the panel, and I moderated it as well, and just speaking to all these amazing women who are making their mark. I'm talking about like national team captains of England, of Italy. They are the best women in football. Even a female referee, the first ever female referee to officiate all male game, right? Stephanie Freppert. Like I have so much respect for her, and just like being on that stage with them, like I just couldn't believe I was there. And then after that, going into the room and sort of like speaking to the referees, and they're like, you know what, I've heard so much about you, like I know what you guys are doing at Futbolita. And I think like being, I guess, recognized by people in the industry as well, people that I may not like, I really look up to, even like footballers or even coaches, I mean teams as well, some of the best clubs like Paris Saint-Germain, Manchester United, these clubs, they're hey, I know about Futbolita, I know what you guys are doing. So for me, it's really like I feel very blessed and honored as well. And I think it's for me, the Dubai Sports Awards really kind of like I said, like it's I guess a real highlight for me, because I never ever in my like life thought that I would ever walk on the same red carpet as Cristiano Ronaldo. So yeah, so that to me is like a really mind blowing moment, and I still cannot believe that it happened. But yeah, I guess that kind of like coming from a kid, who 18-year-old girl who was like, I think I just want to become a sports journalist like one day, and let's see about it, to that, like I really sometimes cannot really believe it. But it's thanks to all the people who really like helped me, and all the support, and sort of I guess you guys will relate to it as well, all the late nights of like hustling, and just making all the sacrifices. And you feel like, okay, I think it's worth it. I think all the sleepless nights and my eye bags, and just like hustling to no end, I guess it was worth it in the end lah.
Yeah. Wow.
I'm assuming no one here has regrets, right? Because the next question I'm asking is, through all that, do you have regrets?
I think the only regret that I have is that I didn't start earlier. I think I think I waited for the game to change instead of like just pushing myself forward, like saying like, hey, I can do this, like like let's not care about what anyone else say. Like I waited for the game to be created for me, and then I stepped into as a player. But yeah, like so one of the hijabi models that I actually look up to is Halima. I don't know if you all have heard
Mm,
of her before.
mm.
Halima Aden, and she walked into like a Miss USA wearing her what do you call it, burkini, and like a headscarf, like in the swimsuit round, and she created a name for herself. And I think one of the things that she always likes to say is change the game, not the, like, don't change the rules, change the games, change the game. So I think I wish that I was Halima, like, I wish I started the thing. And yeah, so yeah, I wish I started earlier. That's my only regret.
Okay.
Well, for me, I mean, I've been asking myself that question, like, many times, like, do I have any regrets? I think in general, whether I made the decision to start Amazing Grace, I don't think that was never a hint of like regret ever, right? But there are times where I do think about decisions I make, like small decisions that I made throughout the business, right? But those are minor. But in general, I think I am very happy where I am now, and I'm actually great. I'm very grateful that I am here today, like here, or where is Amazing Grace today? Yeah.
Yeah.
I think no regrets as well, but we always have, I guess, a little bit. For me, was not being a little bit assertive. Like I didn't create as much content about like what I like to do, or like I didn't content creation early in my career. I was always waiting for to work with clients or to just do the normal broadcast stuff. That would have been my main project. But for now, for today especially, I realize how important it is to really create content around yourself or whatever you're trying to promote, even if it's your brand or whatever. I was always very scared of what people would think or of me or what they would say. Always very worried about the comments. So I think in my 20s especially, I wish that I had done a lot more of that sort of putting myself out there more instead of waiting for people to come to me, because I think I was quite blessed in that sense. A lot of people came and like, let's work together. But I think on hindsight, I could have also like done the startup way, like Sabrina, like go out there and like find, like partners, which I think works both ways as well. But when you're younger, you're always like, I'm not sure, like, so I guess it also comes with age. And now I'm a lot older, but like I wished as well that I had been a lot more, let's go out there, like let's take the risk, doesn't matter. Like, and of course I was always scared of rejection. So yeah, I think that was my other issue as well. I should have been just been, you know what, I'm okay with it. Even if you say no, it's fine. I'll go to the next brand or next person. Yeah. That's my only regret. Yeah.
Okay, so I'm like recognizing this to be a bit more gung ho, right? Am I right, Sabrina? The word gung ho, a bit more
Yes.
gung ho.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So before I actually ask the last question before Q&A. So if anyone else has like questions, I mean the viewers out there, if you have questions, type it out, and then we'll kind of like pop it up, and then we'll ask the panelists. Okay. So okay, last bit from our end is okay. So each of you have actually created your own path, in your own individual fields, right? What advice can you give to those who want to take? I think you've actually said quite a bit, but what advice can you give to those who want to take a leap into something new, or the road less traveled, especially for girls who are like intimidated or to take on their own passion or feel that they don't belong or even have the imposter syndrome? Yeah. If you could share.
Well, for me,
Sure.
Well, for me, if there anyone who really wants to start a business, right? I think you all heard it that it's going to be tough. You got to be mentally prepared and things like that, right? But my advice is just go for it, right? You really have nothing to lose, right? While you're doing it, right, just remember you need to be modest, need to be humble, listen a lot more. I think that's where you gain the most, right, from your surroundings. And lastly is also to be ready to step outside your comfort zone, right? Because to start a business, I think it really pushes you to do things that you never knew that you like doing or you don't like doing. But just be prepared in that sense.
I think for those who want to take a leap into something new, or the road less traveled on, like the saying, fake it till you make it. Like really, you just need to put yourself out there and just start doing it, and then the opportunities will come, and then you can try and figure out like what are the things that you want to do, what are the things that you don't want to do. And also, if you're afraid of rejection or if you're afraid of failure, like I like to, like more recently, like I like to think of, people are like talking about abundance and like, I have a mindset of abundance. And I think that's really important, like to know that with every missed opportunities, there are going to be other opportunities that will be present for you. So like the only thing that you're going to regret is that you didn't take this leap of faith. If you fail, then so be it. Like, there will be other things that come along. So just do it lah. Yeah.
I think absolutely. I think these two women before me, they sort of already set the tone and said some fantastic stuff. But Sabrina, especially you said about stepping out of your comfort zone. That's like one, definitely number one for me as well. I would say, don't expect things to be fine and dandy, but you should definitely do first and then worry about it later. I think I spent a lot of time worrying first, and then after that, I never ended up doing some stuff like that. But I realized if you're not sure, if you're in doubt, like when you say when you're going shopping, when in doubt, buy first. But I think more it should be more when you're setting out there and you have a vision of what you want to do. Just do it first. You don't have to plan so much. You can maybe plan 50%, but just do what you've intended yourself to do and follow your gut. I think your gut is very important. Like my gut has saved me in so many situations in my life about decisions that I wasn't sure about. Should I be working with this person? Should I be working? And most of the time it was right. It always came back to sort of prove me right or wrong. And I would say if you feel very strongly about something and you feel that it's meant to be yours, it will be yours. Like nothing can ever take it away from you. Trust me on that. It will always come back. And I've had so many gigs that I didn't get, so many opportunities I cried over because I was like, when I was younger, I think that should be me. That should be me. I always used to say that. But like life has a very funny way of working about, especially like, it came back and it was like, you know what, that wasn't for you. I think this is what you deserve. I always believe that if you sort of put in the work, you do your research, and especially research, like if you do your research about what you want to be and you work towards it, take proactive steps. Like for example, right, you say you want to lose weight, for example, but you're not going to the gym or you're not changing your diet, stuff like that. So small baby steps towards your goals, but do it first and do not wait. I used to wait a lot as well when I was younger. Don't wait so much. Just do first and then worry about it later, and definitely like follow your gut. So yeah, if it's yours and you feel that it's like your goal, and you are taking those proactive steps, hopefully, and I think I always say, if it's meant to be yours, it will be yours. Yeah, sounds so
Yeah.
spiritual, but yeah.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think I totally agree because okay, so there's a few things, right? To add on to whatever you ladies just mentioned, right? So it's like the 5-second rule. I'm not sure whether you've heard of the 5-second rule, which means, right, like if there's some crazy ideas in your mind, right, and then if you just got to do it, because after 5 seconds you start to doubt yourself and you start to doubt the things that, oh no, what if. So yeah, so that, and I also believe in timing, because like what Ash mentioned, right, like there's a lot, the universe has its own way of working it's it's doing its routine and stuff like that. I mean, maybe at that point of time it's not meant to be yours, like what Ash mentioned. So yeah, I mean, these are really inspirational things that you ladies have shared. Now the Lokalfeed team is going to kind of like send some questions over, some Q&A for us to see. Okay, so the question is this: how do you handle situations whereby you have to do something to gain respect from men during work, i.e., male-dominated field, pitching to male investors as female founders, etc.? Okay, the floor is open for you ladies.
Sabrina, I think this one is for you. I see.
Yeah.
Pitching to male
I mean,
investors.
I'm definitely been. I mean, we've definitely been in this situation before, right? I think
Ooh.
how do you do it? How do we do it? Is really about walking into the room with confidence, right? Walking in with confidence, know what you want, right? And once you know what you know, how to say, know what you want, know what you're there to get, right? And do not back out. Like, do not go anything for anything less, right? So that actually shows them that the ladies are here for real. Yeah. So really, I think it's all about the confidence and know what we really, really want.
I mean, Ash, on your end, is there, like for example, when you have because you're an agent, right? FIFA agent and all that, because you struck deals and all that. So is there do you kind of like get into these kind of situations, and how do you go about it?
I think just to add on as well to Sabrina, the confidence, but also the professionalism as well. If you are professional in what you do, you've done your research and you've sort of done the work, right? Your gender is irrelevant in context, because if you are doing the job, if you're capable, I said it many times as well in some podcasts, no one should ever say, hey, you're a woman, you don't belong here. It doesn't matter, it's irrelevant, because like I'm here because I deserve to be here and I have done the work necessary. I have the accreditations whatsoever, right? But again, back to being an agent, I've been in situations like boardroom meetings with just all men, for example, like in Thai football. I worked in as well to do a deal in Thai football, and because of the language barrier, sometimes you really just rely on body language, and sometimes the body language is, you can't really read it as well. So I've been in situations where I just make sure that I'm always assertive and I'm just talking facts. Okay, if it's a contract, I'm talking negotiating my player's contract. I'm just talking about the contract. We don't talk about, the color of my hair or like the dress I'm wearing. It's irrelevant, because this is a sports contract. I want my player to sign. Is it a yes or a no? If it's not, then of course we do it in a very nice way as a girl, but we try and be as professional as well. We don't like sorry guys, it's a little bit laggy, but yeah, we don't we keep professional no matter what happens.
Okay, so we're going to move on to the next question. Okay. How do these stereotypes of femininity and masculinity limit girls and boys? Anyone?
Guys, is it laggy or am I like, is my internet slow?
No, you're okay. You sound okay.
Oh really? Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I can't see, it's sort of like laggy now. Okay. Maybe it's my computer.
Okay. Fahima, you want to take this? Or
Maybe I'll pass it on to Ash.
What's the question again, guys? Because like it's very laggy for me, so now I can't even see.
okay.
How do the stereotypes of femininity and masculinity limit girls and boys?
Oh wow, that's a very heavy question. I think the stereotypes will always be there. There's always going to be a fraction of people who will have those kind of ancient, I would say, like mentality when it comes to, oh, females belong in the kitchen, or you deserve, you need to just keep quiet, get married, have 10 kids, and don't forget about your career, right? These are all stereotypes that I would say a very certain group of people have, but with education, with more women and men, getting educated, going to school, and sort of making friends from all different walks of life, we are seeing as well a lot more progression there. But yeah, I think the stereotypes will always be there. I don't really have I don't really know how to teach also the girls that come to me, how do you answer these kind of questions. But I think at the end of the day, if you yourself, it has to come from you. If you are doing the work, you feel like whatever you're doing is good enough, and you feel like you are really adding value, then these things are not relevant. You just have to find a way to mentally sort of block it out of your head and say, okay, these people are just not on the same, I would say, wavelength or same vibes, right? They say as me. So yeah, I think that would be my advice. I wouldn't really care so much about stereotypes at all, because I think it will always be there, and we can't change certain mentalities of people who just refuse to see things in a more progressive and a more respectful, should I say, way. Yeah.
anyone else want to add on?
I guess it's only going to limit you if you think that it is limiting. Like, they say that girls cannot do so many things, but if you're just going to go out and do it anyway, then it's not going to limit you. I guess it's about breaking those stereotypes and showing and proving to others that what you think are the boundaries and the of femininity and masculinity can be broken.
Sabrina, you got anything to add or not?
No.
Okay, cool. Okay, one last question. Could diversity also mean accepting candidates from different academic backgrounds and achievements?
I'll take this. For me, it's definitely right. I can just, for me, okay. So when we do have a lot of candidates coming in, right, and when it comes to hiring, and especially for me, whether what academic background or achievement you had, it's just very minor, right? What matters to me most is your attitude towards work, towards towards people around you, and your personality, right? So I think that plays a major part, especially when you are talking to me. That's how I kind of gauge, right? Where else the academic background achievement, that is something supporting in that sense. Yeah. So for me, yes, definitely, I'm open to all. Yeah.
Yeah.
Ladies, Faima, Ash?
I think diversity would mean accepting candidates not just from different academic backgrounds or different achievements. It's basically diversity is like accepting people no matter their background, no matter their achievements, no matter their skin color, no matter their religious background, mindset, mentality. I mean, of course, like if you're, I mean, like in the best way possible. Like, I mean, I don't mean to accept like aggression or whatever, but I mean, like, just being accepting of people because of their own uniqueness and their own whatever differences that they have. Yeah.
Okay. Ash?
Because it's laggy now, I had to go to the YouTube to check to actually see the question. Okay, so I think I think sorry guys, I think definitely um diversity. Sorry, the question was yeah, definitely. I think Sabrina, you said it also pretty well. I have to agree because every candidate sort of brings their own special, I guess their own stories and their own I would how do you put it? Their own vision, their own goals, and I think that's something special about accepting people from various backgrounds. Is that you are learning every single day, and I think it's important as well that we sort of recognize the fact that having diversity in a field also increases our market. It increases like our possibility of growing together, especially when you're running a startup or a company. These people could give you an idea or give you a tip that you would never have thought about because of their unique situation or their background. Like for example, one of my designers, he's actually working in India now, right? I'm not. This is not like, how do I say? I did not even like what do you call it, like outsource him, right? He's a full-time staff, and he's been working with my like a marketing guy for a long time. They went to school together and everything. But his unique perspective about things sort of like make us change the way as well that we are running stuff. And even when it came to like, because it's an all-female esports team, right? And we're thinking about how can we include diversity in our team as well with our players. And he's always giving us fresh perspectives about what's been going on in India as well as in the Middle East as well. So we kind of like changing the way we do things as well, not changing because of what he said, but changing because we ourselves are learning new things. And I think even as female founders or even founders in general, it's important that we take our staff as well, and whatever they say into consideration, because I think they can really sort of help us to grow the company. So yeah, I think diversity is absolutely number one when it comes to hiring, and I think moving forward, I think many of us as well will want to hire people who can elevate us as well as sort of help us to see new perspectives about how we can grow. Yeah.
Totally agree that diversity equals to different perspectives, which is a plus for everyone. Okay. Thank you so much, ladies. Any kind of like last words of wisdom before we end this session, which has been fun. I hope you ladies had fun. I hope everyone else has had fun. Any last words of wisdom before we end this session?
I think it's a like
You mentioned it all. Sorry. Ash, go ahead.
no, because I cannot see the screen, so I'm sort of like seeing all of you guys like static right now, and, so I don't know like who's gonna talk. Sorry about that.
Okay. Any last
Sorry.
words of wisdom? Okay, I'm gonna kind of like say, Ash, any last words of wisdom before we end this session?
I think my word is, I always like to say this, like even my best friend knows, is YOLO. You only live once, so just go for it. And if you have doubts, just do it. And like 5 second rule, like you said, if you are gonna keep questioning yourself, you're gonna have more doubts. So whatever it is, just go out there and do it, and just be brave, like, and follow your gut. Like, your gut is very, very important. Like, but yeah, just go for it. And that's my I always say this to everyone, like, vamos. My team knows this as well. In Spanish, that means like, let's go, right? Just vamos to everything, and yeah, never look back. Just keep going and just like keep moving. Yeah. So that's my last words of wisdom.
You are the master of your destiny, so just take the wheel, have a little bit of faith, and God will guide the way as well.
Okay. Sabrina?
I'm quite similar with Ash, right? So for me, it's just go for it. Take the risk. For me, I always believe high risk, high return, right? So, right, just do it.
Okay. Okay. Thank you so much, ladies, for taking the time. Really appreciate it. Thank you so much, everyone. And see you soon, okay? Please take care of yourselves, and thank you so much. Bye, ladies.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you
Bye,
so much.
everyone. Take
Bye.
care.